qué no?
Porque sí.
Hi, I'm here with Francisco Fattoruso, coming to you live from the Piano Bar in downtown Maldonado. Welcome, Francisco. It's nice to see you.
It's great to see you.
Francisco's here tonight with his band, and tell us a little bit about who's playing tonight and what you guys are up to.
Well, we've been doing this Martes on Fire for almost, we're about to start the 5th year of doing Martes on Fire, and the idea is to mix all the musicians together like old times. You know, musicians used to meet. You hear great stories of the great famous musicians that, you know, in their cities they would always hook up in one place and learn the music there and get all their work from the same one place. So I wanted to do the same thing here. You know, actually, living in the States, I lived a lot of that. So I wanted to bring that with me. So this is what we've been doing, which is basically putting an awesome band together and trying to learn music every week, new music, and then having collaborations from musicians. You know, sometimes it's random, sometimes they send us songs that they want to play, sometimes it's a full band that comes in and they do their thing and we just sit down, you know. So tonight, yeah, we have the house band.
Okay.
The Martes on Fire's house band here on Miércoles on Fire.
Okay, because we're here on Miércoles, not Martes,
yeah,
which is Wednesday.
Nacho Labrada on keys and Tato Boronini on the drums, Pedro Arimani on guitar, and Camila Sapin on the vocals.
Wonderful.
They're really great musicians, great guys.
So you were born in Las Vegas, right?
Yes.
And then you grew up in Brazil, and then you moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Tell me kind of what your story is, because I know you lived in the States and you were very influenced by the gospel in the South, and you sang in churches and you learned to play with musicians.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Talk to us a little bit about your experience in that moment.
Well, you know, I lived in and out of the States my whole life, really. You know, I lived in New York. I mean, without memory, when I was, you know, newborn, you know, my family actually lived in LA. At that moment, and my dad he's a great musician, and he was doing he was playing some band that went to Vegas for a week or something, and they just kept playing every night for 4 months. You know, it got extended, and that's why I was born in Vegas. But we actually lived in LA, and before we even got to Brazil, when I was 2.5 years old, we already lived in Atlanta and Florida. You know, we were moving around quite a lot, you know. And then we stayed in Buenos Aires for a little while, in Uruguay for a few months, and we finally settled in Rio de Janeiro, where I grew up. You know, my childhood was there. But then, you know, going back and forth between, you know, Uruguay, Brazil, and the States, I finally ended up in Virginia Beach, where, you know, I played a lot and lived many years there. And
you wrote a song there, right?
Yeah.
Pretty famous song.
Yeah, but then I wanted to expand my knowledge. You know, one of the main reasons of why I moved to the United States was because I wanted to get influenced by other musicians and see just great music and go, wow, you know, and just learn. And in Virginia, you know, it was great, but there wasn't a whole lot to see, you know. And I knew that Atlanta was a very musical city, so I took the risk and went there. You know, it was 5 million people just in the Atlanta area, you know. So it was a big deal, but it was amazing. You know, I started to meet all these musicians, and then one of the drummers that I met, you know, we started talking, and he showed me some recording that he played, and it was a gospel artist that he was working with, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? I need these CDs, and then I took the CDs with me, and I made copies and gave them back the next day, and he told me, you know, man, we need to get you to church, man. And I'm like, well, but you know, I'm you know, how am I gonna do that, you know? Well, you like gospel music? I was like, yeah, I mean, I need to learn way more about it, but I love it. He was like, oh, yeah, you're fine. So I started going, and it changed my life. You know, it really changed because I learned so much music, and so much music that is incredibly rich. You know, and in the way that we live, it gets lost in the religion. You know, and
yes.
in what they're talking about, because gospel really is, it must come from the Bible, everything
Correct.
that's said. So a lot of people, when they listen to the lyrics, oh no, this is belongs to these type of people, or in other cases of other styles of music, it's the same thing.
Right.
Oh no, this is Arab music. They're terrorists. And
Right.
so I really don't. I
You
think
like
music.
all kinds of music.
Well,
right?
music is like a form of like an energy. I think regardless of who is saying it, and what they're saying. And I learned a lot. I really did. It was a really open music and really sophisticated, very hard, difficult. And I feel like I went to a university where they paid me to learn.
Was that in the United States?
Yes, in Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay, well, I have never heard of that, but that's amazing. That's awesome.
It's amazing.
I know they do that in the Netherlands. They pay you to go to school, but
Well, I mean, I was actually saying it more in a figure of speech way, as in I feel like I was going to a college where they paid me.
it was
I
a
was
paid education
actually-
for your music.
Well, they were paying me to play their music.
Fantastic.
But
So you had
really,
the
I
influence.
was learning. To me, it was amazing. To me, because it wasn't a job for me. I was learning every day. I had to play a lot of music. It was almost every day that you had to do something church related.
So did you go into the churches and play into the churches
Yeah,
as well?
yeah.
And how did you find that? Did you resonate with that? Were you cool with
Yeah. I
that?
mean, some churches were terrible. Just the message that they were giving to the people, and a lot of the times it was about money, and I didn't agree with a lot of things. But in general, it was very positive. All the songs. A lot of times they talk about positive things, and sometimes about problems, and you have to look at it just like with any music, how it affects you. Lyrics. If I listen to a particular song and you listen to it, it might make me feel a certain way, and to you it might be nothing. And it's really positive. I learned. Some of the pastors were really great, because they were really. The main church that I played was in a really bad neighborhood of Atlanta, in the Midtown area. It was really bad, and he really tried to help people, by giving them information that otherwise they can't get, and because of the culture the people are used to in the South, at least, to go to the church on Sundays. And if they go there and they learn something, they try to make them better, and I learned a lot from that.
That's great. So you brought back a lot of what you learned here and sharing it with the Uruguayan people.
Yes.
And I read an article, I think that was written maybe last year or so in the Observador, about the fact that you came back here from the United States specifically for bringing this type of music back to Uruguay, helping to influence the musicians here with what you've learned. Any personal reasons beyond that? Yeah.
Well, it's many reasons, I really, part of me never really wanted to leave, because it's really difficult,
Well, this is your home, Montevideo. You
Well,
have Mi Casa Productions,
yeah,
right? And
I have
that's
different-
named after Mi Casa,
Yes.
meaning Montevideo is
Yes,
your casa, your
yeah.
house.
Yeah, basically yes, but at the same time, I have a lot of my roots in America as well, so it's a divided feeling, But at the same time, here life is, in to some degree, is healthier than in the United States.
Many degrees.
Just the simple things of people just, getting together for no reason and hanging out, and I feel like people in some countries are more isolated and very individual.
Yes.
And here it's getting infected, because of the technology, but it's still better. I've done so many gatherings, and asados, and you can't imagine how much of that I've done since I moved here in the last 4 years.
So you've only been back 4 years?
Yeah.
Well, I moved here 3 years ago, so about the same time. And you have kids; they're back here as well, and you guys are raising your kids here.
Yes. Yes.
I as well. Part of the reason that is because of some of the things that go on in the United States that aren't so great.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason that we're doing this show, is to show why Uruguay is a cool place to go, and that we have cool musicians and culture and all kinds of stuff that we want to bring to the world. So you've got a record that you just finished. Do you want to just tell us about that real quick?
Yeah, sure. It's my third official album to say.
Awesome.
It's called Chronos, and
Chronos, like
yes,
Chronos.
Yes, like God of time.
Awesome.
And it's a different album, because we recorded live in a studio.
Where did you guys do that?
In Montevideo, in Vivace. It's a really nice studio that recently opened, well, a few years, like 3 years ago.
Perfect.
And it's a beautiful studio, and we got a band together, which is my band, but with some extra additions.
Okay.
And the music, everything was done in the same period. I wrote all the songs within a 2 months period before we started recording. And the band, half of the band comes from Argentina, and we got together in the studio, rehearsed and recorded live with an audience. People came to the studio with headphones, and they were, living the experience of how, you record a studio.
That's
album.
awesome.
Excuse me. And then it was also filmed, so my idea is to share most of the album as videos on the internet.
That's fantastic.
And I'm really happy how the results came, because with technology it can be helpful, but it can also go against you. And musicians these days are also very individualists, in the sense that it's cheaper for you to track your own music in your own house and then send, we transfer the file so they can mix it in a different place. But it takes away the human factor, and I wanted
kind of like analog versus digital.
Yes, we recorded in an analog way.
Fantastic.
Everybody were
really warm.
We recorded.
Really nice.
There was a lot of technology, but it was all of that technology was capturing one thing, which was the sound that we're making together in the studio, and that's what you're gonna get with Chronos.
Awesome.
Yeah. So next year it will be available.
When should we look for that? In 2016?
Yeah, very early. I mean, the album is already mastered, and the videos are pretty much finished.
Do you produce your own stuff, or do you have a producer that you work with?
I am a music producer, which it doesn't mean that I have to produce my own music, but
in this case, in Chronos, did you?
On my albums, I have been producing my music. I have, I had, of course, playing with such great musicians. I try to get their input as much as I can. So Nicolás Ibarburu, I called him, and we worked on some melodies together. And Alvaro Torres, the keyboard player, he's amazing, and he helped arrange some things in the songs. So that's also a co-production. But yeah, it was a conception and production that I created.
Awesome. Well, cool. I'm really stoked to see you. It's been a while. When I wrote this script, I wrote you and Julieta into it. And, here we are 2 years later, and really excited. So tonight we're here at Piano Bar, and in a couple minutes we're going to hear from you and your super band. Thanks so much for being here, Francisco. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Well, ciao.
No. Porque sí.